Currington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Thank you for tuning in to this interesting episode. As you've seen in the thumbnail description and in the title of the video, we're going to be discussing, particularly for beginners, but for anyone who wants to introduce anyone into the budget side of fishing, we're going to be talking about the best rods for the buck and how to find out, what rods do you need to have when you first start out in fishing. Now, before we go into this, I want to mention this to each of you. You always want to give yourself ample enough opportunity to immerse yourself in whatever it is that you choose to do or to introduce yourself to, so that you'll know whether this is something you'd like to do or not. The reason why I say that is because many times, particularly in this sport, what people will often do is they will go and get, the cheapest fishing rod at their nearest store where they sell fishing equipment. They go out and they have a particular experience that they don't appreciate. And then later on in the conversation, when the moment arises, they will mention, I went fishing on a certain day or certain time, and I didn't like it. But what they didn't mention was the kind of equipment that they purchased in order to have that experience. So in fishing, like every other sport, if you want to have at least a qualitative immersive experience, at the very least, spend a little bit more money than you would probably want to spend in order for you to at least be able to say that once and for all, I do or I don't like the sport of fishing. Now, having that as a basis for the furthering of this conversation, you want to keep your purchases between $50 and $80 out-of-pocket expense. Take into consideration your out-of-pocket expense includes a sale where the item, the rod in this particular case for this video, is 20% off. Your out-of-pocket expense is $80 pre-tax. If it's half off, $160 rod, half off is $80, you got a deal. Anywhere in between in that $50 to $80 range. And here's the reason why. Once again, adding to what I said to you earlier in this video, if it's below $50, the chances, not absolutely, but the chances that the rod will provide to you the best initial and immersive experience for you to decide whether you like the sport or not, will not be there for you. So it is better to stay within $50 to $80 out-of-pocket expense, taking into consideration sales and also combos, because there are times when a combo where the individual parts may be $200, but for whatever reason, they're clearing the whole thing out at $75. Well, obviously get that rod and reel combination. Or it was a $120 combo and they're clearing it out at $50. Grab that one. Or it was a $100 combo and they're clearing it out at $40. Get that one. I say all that for you to understand it's about out-of-pocket expense, taking into consideration those items. I'll give you one other example. For me, in my rod and reel arsenal, this is the 13 Fishing Defy Series rod. In that price point. Now, there is a newer model for this that exists, but this is the one that I purchased. The chances, I may not be purchasing that next one. I do know that it is a good rod though. And this is the lightest fishing rod under $100 that I own in my rod and reel arsenal. It's certainly less expensive than, lighter rather than my ugly sticks, no matter which one they are. And it is also lighter than my Skeet Reese rod, which I also own. And This rod, this Defy Series rod, retails for $59 on just about everywhere this rod is sold. And it can be discounted. If you're at a place like Dick's Sporting Goods or Sportsman's Warehouse, occasionally sells these. I think Shields sells them. Academy may sell them. Just find out wherever they are. So in the site itself directly. These rods, the new rods are $59. I believe that's what they are. The new rods are $59. And I would encourage you to get this particular rod or something on that level. Yep, $59, $59.99. I'm looking on my iPad just down below the camera. So this would be a good rod. Now, sometimes, particularly at Dick's Sporting Goods, they'll have a sale where they're $10 off, or you get a receipt from Dick's Sporting Goods, fill out the survey, you get $10 off. If you have Save Around books, you can get the $10 off coupons that are in there. So there are many opportunities for you to get it at a slight discount. And the same goes for this particular rod. Interestingly enough, Dick's Sporting Goods will once in a while, maybe once a month or so, will sell this rod, which retails for $80 on their website. Will discount this rod at 50% off. If it's 50% off, my suggestion to you is to pick it up. This is the second lightest rod that is in my rod and reel arsenal, under $100. Okay. Now, you hear me saying lightest rod. One of the things that you ought to also consider is how light a rod is and how it feels in your hand. Heavier rods are going to give you a little bit more, going to cost you rather, a little bit more in your daily activity. They're going to wear you out a little bit faster than the lighter rods that are equipped to do just about the same work, okay? And so just remember that when you pick up a rod, again, out-of-pocket expenses, sometimes you can get a much lighter rod at a higher cost that's on sale than to pick up one that retails full price in a particular pricing range. Now, another thing that you might notice, for example, this rod here, I believe is a medium heavy. This is a medium heavy, yes. 7'1", medium heavy action rod. And this rod here, I believe, is a 7-foot medium action rod. Turn it this way. It's a medium action rod. So here's the point I'm making. Rods come in the various powers, and then there are combos from there. But the major powers are light, medium, medium heavy, and heavy. You have medium light, medium. You have medium fast and medium. I mean, you got all the other ones, but those are the basic ones. And rods are rated in terms of their strength or their sensitivity in terms of what is something called tonnage. On the low end, you have 24-ton Japanese Toray graphite. And then it can go as high, I think I've seen it as high as 100, but that's a very, very sensitive, brittle, and expensive rod. Typically, you can get into about 46 to 50, and you're still in the multi-hundreds of dollars. I'll say, for example, this is probably my most expensive rod here, and just the rod itself. This is 13 Fishing's NV2 Black right here. This is a 46-ton Japanese Toray. You can see where it says 46T on there. Let me angle it down this way. You can see it. 46-ton. This is a medium heavy. This rod retails for $325 online. You can get sales on it get discounts, but it retails for $325. So you can get it a rod all the way from 24 ton all the way to 46 ton and anything in between. My recommendation is to stick with the 24 ton, stay under $100, and also consider that as an out-of-pocket expense. Now, there are rods and reels that are under $100 that are at 36 ton and 40 ton. I'm not going to explain those details and why those are less expensive because I'm going to reserve that for a different video. But generally speaking, and without getting too technical, if you stay between $50 and $80 as an out-of-pocket expense for a fishing rod or $100 for a combo, you'll be doing quite well, okay? Now, here's another thing that I would like for you to also consider is the length of the rod. Now, the most popular rod combination, rod length rather, is the 6'6", and it's a 6'6" medium spinning rod. In terms of generic attributes, that is the most popular fishing rod in fresh water. There is nothing close to it. The next one is the 7-foot medium action spinning rod, okay? And the reason why is because the 6'6" medium action spinning rod is the most universal rod in any rod arsenal, period. It is a specialty of none, of no particular style of fishing. The 6'6" medium action spinning rod, it is good for everything. It specializes in nothing, okay? Now, there may be rod manufacturers who are making that attempt to do it, but it is not long enough in some cases, and it is not short enough in another case, and it doesn't have the power, because it's not a medium heavy, or in some cases it's not a light, okay? But it's the perfect middle ground to begin your hobby in fishing. And I say fishing, not any species in particular, but freshwater fishing is where we're talking about here. The 6'6" medium action spinning rod. I would offer for you to stick in that range. Now, here's where the variant would begin. In the Defy series, I believe they have a 6'7", not a 6'6". Don't quibble over the inch. Or a 6'9". Just don't go to a 6'4" or a 6'2", because you'll begin to lose, again, the qualitative edge that you would like to have in fishing in general, okay? Now, if you're just going for bluegills and that's all you're gonna do, I'd have a totally different recommendation. But this video is not for a particular type of fish to fish for, but it is in general, I'm going fishing, catfishing, carp fishing, bass fishing, bluegill fishing, crappie fishing. You see, white bass and perch and all those other species in between, trout and salmon. With a 6'6" medium action spinning rod, you can have some really good fun and to analyze as to whether or not this sport is for you or not. And with an out-of-pocket expense between $50 and $80, it's not going to break your bank. Now, having said that, if you want to afford more, then do so. If you want to get more than one rod, then do so. Try not to get all 6'6" length rods. Get a 6'6", get a 7-foot. Try not to get too many unless you know that you're going to be fishing more often. Now, for beginners, most of the time we begin our fishing by, as little kids. But if you're starting, of course, as an adult and you don't have that precedent to fall on, you probably will be going fishing not more than twice per month. Not more than that. My argument is probably not even that. So if you're going, we have 12 months in a year. So if you're going twice each month, that's 48 times. That's quite a number of times to go fishing. So let's assume that you're not going 48, you're only going 30 times, which is in the range of a lot of the equipment that you see here. This will be a good start for you. And you pacing it throughout the year so that you're fishing in the spring, you're fishing in the summer, and you're fishing in the fall. You can fish in the winter, but a lot of times when people begin their fishing, their fishing hobby, they're very fair weather, and winter rain and all that is not a really good time to analyze whether you like fishing or not. You just have to like to be out in that weather. Okay. Now, so my suggestion to you would be to ensure that you have the best experience, to spend a little bit more money, and we're going to talk about reels in the next video, and then we're going to talk about tackle in the third video. But stick with rods right now, and that will be a good attempt. I'd say the overwhelming majority of fishing rods in the $50 to $80 range, no matter where you purchase them for, particularly if they are sales, and in combos, if you're going at $75 to $100, are pretty good to begin that quest, to begin your hobby for finding out whether you like the sport or not. I encourage you to give yourself time, give yourself effort. Don't fish in one spot, fish in different spots, pick different locations, please. Don't just fish in a pond that's stocked with fish. Fish in a lake or a river or a pond that has competition. Don't fish only in private ponds. Me in particular, I have access to a good number of private fishing ponds. And I, for one, avoid them all because it creates a false sense of what fishing actually is. If you know that a particular pond or lake it has multiple 10-pound bass and they've never seen a hook before and you are the first hook they see, trust me when I tell you, it doesn't give a realistic sense of what's happening. So consider that before you go and say, okay, well, I fished, my neighbor's pond and I caught, 40 bass. Now let me go and spend $1,000 and buy fishing equipment. Then you go to a popular lake and you skunk and you ask yourself what happened. So stick to that range right there. I think that was the only thing that I wanted to recommend for this particular episode. Let me look and see if I have anything on my notes. I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't have anything on my notes. So that was just me talking to you. I thought I had something down there. At any rate, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. If you have any comments, if you want to expand on what I am sharing, please, those of you who are watching, bring your sage advice to the conversation and expand it out from where we're having this discussion. I look forward to it.